me and some of the boys from a previous Discord server that I was a large contributor to went to Anime Expo, and he came to Tucson like one night before we needed to leave, and he crashed with me one night, and he was like, "Dude, you got a 3DS, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm gonna buy you Monster Hunter, and we're gonna play on this trip." And I was like, "Cool, that sounds great." And we got on our little 3DSs next to each other, and he was like, "All right, here's what you do." And we got through like, I don't know, an hour and a half of the game. I was like, "Cool, yeah, we should totally play this some more later." Closed the 3DS, did not touch it ever again in my life.
Yeah.
And we had a great trip, and it was the kind of trip where like you don't want to sit there and play on your 3DS. There's fellas to hang out with, and there's food to eat, and there's an expo to go to. So anyway,
Although
not a huge fan.
I do aspire to be that guy at some point in my life again. The just like at a group gathering of adults, and then I'm just in the corner with my 3DS, and people are like, "Hey, Jared, whatever happened to that? Whatever happened about that thing that you were talking about getting into?" And I'm just like visibly upset, pausing my game, going, "What? And then they're like, never mind." I'm just like, okay. And I just get right back into the game.
Yeah,
My
dude.
wife's just like, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry. I had to bring him. I had to get him out of the house. Hello and welcome to Grasstouchers, the show where the three of us pals talk about video games that are coming up and looking good, and also what we've been playing lately, despite how little time we have to do so. I am Jake.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Greg.
Let's get right into the video games. Jared, what is up? Even though I think I know the answer to this already.
Yeah, Tarkov is up.
Yeah.
Tarkov is up, and
So good.
And it's so good. It is so sweet, and they just dropped a patch, and they wiped PvP. Not that I even care.
That's right,
Not
dude.
that I even care about PvP.
Imagine not having to care about the wipe ever.
ever. I don't.
Well,
care-
PvP is the only mode that matters, Jared. So, in case you weren't aware.
If that's true, then I'm gonna kill myself because PvP is a horrible experience on that game, and nobody can convince me otherwise. If anyone's having fun playing PvP on that game, it is solely because you are way past the bell curve in terms of loot and gear, and you just are surviving things that everybody else is just dying to. And the game's not fun when you're just getting killed by you're the smallest fish in the pond, which is the life of a Grasstoucher.
PvP, more like small PP.
More like small PP, guys. And that's what I wanted to say before we do anything today is to officially declare all PvP enjoyers of Tarkov to be small penis havers.
It's true. I don't know what else. I
And-
couldn't have said it better myself. That's right.
Yeah, and get wrecked, Pestily and all the guys that stream that game. But PvE is fun, and E stands for eggnog. No.
Player
What does it
versus
stand for?
eggnog.
Stands for eggnog. That's Deg Christmas Eve. Okay.
No, Degnog.
Degnog.
Eggnog.
Yes,
Eggnog
dude.
in the
Yo, that would be a sick.
PvD.
We should do a stream where it's like, yeah, we're gonna play PvE, player versus eggnog, and like every time you die, you have to drink some eggnog or something. That'd be
There
sick.
you go. Are you guys eggnog enjoyers?
No, I don't think so. Actually, I don't really care for the texture.
I like the occasional alcoholic Degnog, or around the holidays, but who drinks eggnog in August? I mean, come on.
Right.
Well, I mean alcoholics do probably. I don't,
Right.
I don't know.
It's the
but-
only thing left in their fridge from last Christmas, and they're like,
Yeah, I'm not allowed to
"Ugh, give it to me."
It's like curdled eggnog.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
Oh boy, oh boy.
Well, that's the PvP experience. It's like
It is.
drinking curdled eggnog, but
Nasty, dude.
instead we're working with the freshest eggnog, and that is PvE. It's been fun. Jake and I have been able to get some serious time in at this point, and we can confirm, or at least I can confirm, and I think I can confirm for him that it's a great time, and we've had a lot of fun. They've added a few weapons that people are kind of poo-pooing this patch a little bit. They're like, "Oh, big whoop." That was nothing. And for me, as somebody who enjoys, I mean, I mean, not even enjoys. I've grown up watching movies and television in my life, and I get to use an Uzi now
Yes, dude.
in this very realistic game. It's a gun that exists, and it's a blast, and it feels different to me, and it sounds different to me, and I've been having a great time with that. They added the Desert Eagle, which is a blast as well. It's extremely loud. Jake can attest to that.
It's the loudest. What'd you put on it? Like a 2x or 3x or something?
I put a 2. The only magnification that you can get for that gun, I think, is the 2.5 aim point garbage tier. I mean, do you call it a scope?
Yeah,
It's
I mean
like-
it is. It's like a
It's like
prism.
science.
It's like a
children's
prism
science
scope,
kit.
not a. It's not a true like assault scope. It's not like an ACOG. It's like this other thing,
Right.
but it looks sick. He looks very sort of Dirty Harry with this like
Right,
massive
right.
big iron, you know. And
Yeah.
we were playing customs last night, and there would be points where, you know, we're clearing corners, we're doing the thing, we're going from place to place, we're getting kills. I had a quest where I was trying to kill scavs from like really far away with a Mosin with iron sights, which is hard. And I finally did it, but in the process of trying to hunt down, like if we saw a sniper scav on a roof, I would call out, "Oh, Jared, I found one. Let me take the first shot." And he was like, "Yeah, if you can, bro, I might beat you to it."
Yeah.
And I would just hear blam, like the loudest gunshot
Yeah.
there has ever been in the history of video games. And it was Jared with a Desert Eagle, like, bah! Just
Trying
like,
to shoot.
okay, I guess
trying
I'm
to
not going to
shoot.
finish the quest tonight. All right.
He's like 250 yards away in the air, and I'm like trying to like line up a shot.
Yeah.
But it's a real good time, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. I was actually thinking, I just had this thought. Somebody should release a mod for Tarkov.
What are you
A mod
doing?
for
I'm
Tarkov.
recording the podcast. What are you doing?
Jake's
Do whatever mom
son
asked you
is
to do.
crashing our podcast.
Love you,
He
mean
just
it. Listen
he
to
just
mom.
came on the podcast and gave it the whole. gave
Okay,
us
now the other one has to do it. All right. Yes. That's it.
Whoa!
Yeah, there we go.
Hey! What's
Yes,
up, dude?
I love you too, buddy. You want to say hi to the fellas?
Hi.
What's up?
He said, "What's up?" Tell him what you're doing right now.
I'm setting up stuff to go to the airport. To go to
Oh, fun, dude.
to stay there for 3 days.
Are you flying the plane?
Are you flying the plane?
No.
Oh, okay. Next time.
Next time.
Just remember, you have a couple targets. You have a rural airfield in Pennsylvania. You have a Pentagon, and you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the middle of Manhattan.
Don't
You
forget your
can't miss it, kid.
Okay. All right. Go do what mom asked you to do, which I bet is get socks, huh? Or clothes or something.
Nice.
We have to get matching socks.
Okay, then do that and
Yeah.
don't interrupt me again.
Matching socks.
Parachute.
Okay. Go ahead.
Peanuts.
do it. Thank you, boys.
Rod Benson looks exactly like Max did at his age. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's
they're
crazy.
pretty similar. Train of thought.
I think-
Not sure. Something about Tarkov.
Yeah. I think that they should release. Somebody should release a mod that turns the scavs into just homeless people on the streets of Los Angeles, and you just have to go out there and you just go out on Skid Row, and they're instead of
Clean it up.
Slavojci, instead of cheeky breaky, they're just some of them are just like
they're like it's encyclopedia, not encyclopedia. You're like,
yeah that
they're
I
like,
don't know.
go Kamala, and you're like,
yeah Desert Eagle. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, just rename because there's a map called Streets of Tarkov. It'd be easy. Just that's a simple name change
Yeah.
right there. Streets of
Yeah.
L.A., Streets of New York,
Philadelphia.
Streets of Philadelphia, Streets of
Philadelphia is ravaged by homeless right now, I've heard.
It's a couple
terrible.
couple big cities you can say that about right now, brother.
Dude, we just need somebody. We need a hero to just. People are always trying to drive their their Mustangs through parades of people who are like are going to work on Monday, and it's like, why aren't we driving our Mustang through these like horrific, like why is that not happening? What's the bias here? Why are we going after people who are just normal contributing citizens instead of the people who are shooting junk in their arm?
Good question.
You say we need a hero,
We need a hero, dude. Somebody
Dude.
step up.
dude. You know who it needs to be? I don't know exactly who, but I think it needs to be Duke Nukem.
Dude, get Duke Nukem out there. I've got balls of steel. Just get him out there. He's just running over homeless people. Dude, that would be so funny. They're rebooting the Daredevil series, and, and they just go a different direction. And Daredevil is he just gets into a PT Cruiser and he's just running over homeless people. And he's blind, and the end of the episode, he's just standing on top of a building. He's like, not all heroes can, see with 20/20 vision, but sometimes all you need is you just need a will and a prayer.
I'm here to drive this Hellcat around town and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Just mowing down herds of homeless, freaked up junkies who are. I want the official stance of this podcast to be that these people are human garbage. just the worst take, and I'm just making it for all three of us.
It's great. Yeah, it's wonderful. I love that. I'm not going to edit it out at all.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man. I had a little too much eggnog, and all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy. Everybody wants to get mad at me because I make sense. All right.
Uncle Jared at the Thanksgiving table, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, that's what's been going on in my life this week. Douglas?
Video game front, not a ton. I did take some time before the pod and look at the link that Jake sent from Gamescom, which is really exciting. So we'll talk about that shortly. In a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing for me. Again, guys, being dad, it's just awesome. Yeah, buddy. I'm sure life has cycles, right? Like I'm sure that at some point, my son will be, require a little less constant attention when I'm home. And at that point, I can play some video games. But right now, it's like I feel guilty, and this is like a total Grasstoucher thing to say, right?
For sure.
I feel guilty when he's awake, which he's asleep now. I feel guilty just being away from him. There was a moment yesterday where I realized I was like, I have not seen him awake in 48 hours.
Right.
Because of my job.
Right.
And
tough, dude.
And like, of course, I'm not going to play video games. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to.
No, nor should you. I totally understand that. Yeah.
And that's called being a Grasstoucher, guys. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, same as Jared. It's all about PvE Tarkov right now. With this trip coming up, as my darling son just mentioned, we'll be going to Colorado for a wedding on Andrada's side of the family, and I'm going to load up that Steam Deck with something new. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to pick something. I don't know if I'm going to go buy some $5 indie game or if I'm going to put something on there I already have. What I need to do is play Elden Ring. I know, I will.
Barbie versus Capcom.
And so I might have to get,
Barbie versus Capcom.
Yeah, Disney Dream My Valley.
Who is your squad on Barbie versus Capcom?
Ken, dude. Where
Ken?
Just Ken, dude. It's all about Ken because he whips out that non-existent dink and just beats people over the head with his pelvis. That's awesome, dude. You haven't seen?
You can't say that before I take a sip.
Like, you haven't seen the fatality that Kevin. You haven't seen Ken. You haven't seen Ken's fatality, dude. It's sick. It's great,
dude.
I want to see Kevin's.
I was always Down syndrome Barbie and Ken. And Malibu Fantasy Barbie. That was my squad. Malibu Fantasy Barbie's pretty OP, but you got to pick it if you want to win sometimes.
Oh man, yeah. So Tarkov, I just want to echo what Jared said. I absolutely love that game. We the latest patch that Jared mentioned there. I want to highlight something he didn't yet mention: the factory rework. There's a map called Factory. It's hellaciously PvP centered. If you play on the PvP servers. People go in there with like level 17 body armor and it's just like you never know who you're going to go up against, and the spawns are just like crazy unfair, not good. It's like not fun. But there's quests that only make sense to do there, and there's a couple quests you have to do there. So what I like about the new factory rework is it's prettier. That game is very atmospheric, but there's parts of it that are not gorgeous. There's some things like you kind of look a little too closely at the textures or something, and you're like, that doesn't look as good as I remember. But the new factory map, I don't know what they did, but the engine's looking better than ever on that. Some of the lighting effects and some of the design decisions they made are really sick. We only ran it once. We got absolutely butt blasted by Tagilla. It was very challenging. I brought in a shotgun with Magnum buckshot and Jared had like what, a MP7? No, you had the Uzi and something else.
I had a Uzi and a Desert Eagle. And trying to make it work.
It was still really fun because of the atmosphere in the new map, but it didn't pan out for us just yet. So I think that's a really sick part of the update. I had an operational task, which for those of you that haven't played Tarkov, it's just like a daily or weekly task to survive on customs 10 times. And in the past like 3 days, I've done it 8 times. I'm going to try to squeeze 2 more in this evening before I hit the sack for this trip. So wish me luck. But yeah, that game rules. And I'm going to try to hit up the Steam Deck in these next couple of days. So speaking of video games, for those of the audience that are not as plugged in as we attempt to be, Gamescom, which is a sort of wannabe E3 games conference that happens this summer, and I don't know when it started exactly. It doesn't matter. Opening night 2024. There's quite a few reveals, some trailers, some things that I was already tracking. There's like further gameplay, and there's games that I was not tracking at all that are now announced. It's kind of rad. So we're gonna hit those up. I'm gonna go down the list, and we're just gonna give our thoughts here, starting with Borderlands 4. Do we care about Borderlands 4? I don't.
I can't.
I do, but I want to see gameplay first. The trailer left a lot to the imagination.
Yeah, it's just a cinematic little thing. And they just put out a movie that was absolutely horrendous. I heard the movie was not good. So,
but Borderlands 3 is a legitimately good game.
The games have their incredibly high points, right? If you've played any of the Borderlands games, you've probably had a good time with the pals, right? Like Borderlands is not like, I'm not saying I'm done with Borderlands overall, but Mafia: The Old Country, don't know nothing about it. Not gonna really touch that one. Indiana Jones, you see in this Bethesda Indiana Jones game? I don't think I care, but it looks high effort, something.
It
I didn't-
looks
I didn't-
good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave. I was gonna say, graphically it looks very impressive,
Right.
but they kept showing like combat, like fist fighting, and it looks horrifically boring.
It looks
in that
so whack.
respect.
It does not look enjoyable. That's what I thought too. I was like, wait, this gameplay looks horrible. Why? First person, like fist, whapow, whip, and I was like, what is that?
And it's Harrison Ford, but it's some other guy voicing him. He's like, "Hi, I'm Rodney. I'm Rodney Dangerfield."
I thought that's what
I was gonna say the same thing.
I almost said Rodney Dangerfield, and I'm Rodney Dangerfield, and I'm playing Indiana Jones. It's such an honor. Growing the whole canned, like it was. Of course, as a kid growing up in America, I watched Indiana Jones, so now it's my greatest honor to play him. And then he's something about I don't get no respect. Something about airplane food.
It belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, come on.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? Is it snakes? Snakes.
Yeah, what's the deal with snakes?
Whatever. It looks like the gameplay itself looks kind of boring to me. But
Yeah, I have a feeling Bethesda just might fumble the bag on that one, but we'll see. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Wow. Looks fun because Call of Duty looks fun. I don't know. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, come on.
I was shocked. I thought it looked really fun. Like I hate all things Call of Duty. I think it's the biggest trash franchise on the face of the planet. But I don't know. The game looked really cool. It kind of looked like Ready or Not. Like there were moments of it I was like, huh. Okay, that's pretty.
Dude, it's
that's
so
pretty
funny.
cool.
That's what kills me about Call of Duty. There's moments in the single player campaigns in Call of Duty that are like top tier, might as well be a big budget action movie. Like, I want this all the time in my veins. Like, so good. And then there's parts of Call of Duty that are just bombastic and unrealistic and silly. And I'm like, yep, that's Call of Duty for you. So yeah, I agree. It looks engaging in the way that every Call of Duty has always wowed me. Unfortunately, it always comes down to like all the kids online that are just going to play the multiplayer version and like cheat. You know what I mean? But I'll certainly keep my eyes on it because it wouldn't be the first time I dipped into Call of Duty after not checking it out for a long time. Skipping a couple. Did you guys look at the one that's called Directive 8020?
I did not. I saw it. I didn't watch the video.
So it's another one, sort of like the Borderlands one. It's just sort of a cinematic little trailer, but it looks like Dead Space meets some sort of other sci-fi franchise, and it's not all action. They've described it as an immersive cinematic horror experience that blends intense survival gameplay with a branching narrative storyline. So it looks kind of story driven, not like twitchy sort of skill based type stuff. And there's a handful of games that I've played that I would describe as like story driven games that are not, action or skill oriented that I've really enjoyed. So I don't know. I might have to keep my eye out for that one. If it looks like they're borrowing from a couple of different kind of inspirations, like Alien and, like I said, Dead Space or stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
How about Goat Simulator Remastered? Wow, incredible. Thank you. Next, skipping. Don't care. Arc Raiders. Not much to go off of. Looks interesting, huh? Is that what you put there, Deg?
Yeah, I mean, apparently this game has been in development hell. It's been delayed, but the premise PvPvE sounds interesting.
We like this.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know, looks interesting, but not much to go off from the video.
Yeah.
So.
It's from the same creators as the finals, which you may remember we took a little brief jaunt into. I think that's a really fun game. We just haven't returned to it because we've got lots of other stuff we got going on. And yeah, I don't know. It could be interesting. The first public test is scheduled for October 24th through the 27th.
I'm sure we'll play that. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if it was kind of a freemium, little game that doesn't have a cost of entry really. So, Dune Awakening, which we did a bit of an episode on once upon a time, a little more gameplay reveal. Now this will be interesting to get your thoughts on because I had mixed feelings having seen a little bit more of the gameplay. I see you smiling there, Douglas. Hit me with it.
I feel the same as I think you do. Mixed thoughts. It doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to look. It looks more cartoonish than I was hoping it would look.
In the video, it looked like they are either showing an early build and therefore it doesn't have the polish they want it to have, or they had to pivot the art style and the general sort of like quality sliders for the sake of performance, depending on how their server is like architected. Yeah.
That's how I felt too watching the video. I was like, man, this just kind of looks like a game from about 5 years ago. Like the backgrounds and like the textures and landscape looked good. The character models looked very blocky and to me like looked blocky and cartoony, which is not what I think of when I think of Dune.
Yeah.
When I think of Dune, I think of grainy and ultra realistic,
Yeah.
The combat looked fine. The building mechanic, that was probably the most interesting thing, I think. But, it's interesting. I imagine, there was a part of it where it was like, you can build an ornithopter. And it like, the guy's like, and it builds the ornithopter and you take off. And like, I imagine that's probably like the hardest thing in the entire game to make. Like, there's no way
you're not doing that on like day 2 of playing the game.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
My favorite part about that was that they're building that thing like piece by piece. They're like putting the cockpit on and then like the propellers. I'm like, what are you gonna just like? They're trying to make it look like there's like a customization element. It's like, why are you not just building the whole thing in one? What are you gonna? You're gonna put 2 cockpits on it? You're gonna put
I wonder the same thing.
On the bottom or something.
I wonder if it's modular in any way. Like you could get like, imagine if they were graded on a scale of like S tier, A, B, C, D, E, F, or something like. Okay, I just want an ornithopter because I really need to be able to fly to such and such location. I'm going to build the cheapest ornithopter I can with all low grade parts, and then maybe you can get like an S tier cabin or cockpit or whatever, and that improves. You know what I mean? This is all wishful thinking. I have no reason to believe that this is the case, but I saw exactly what you're talking about. How there's individual pieces getting slapped on, and I wonder, are those economically very hard to achieve? Like it costs a lot of resources to do the thing. Super nerd moment. The refresh rate of their video made the propellers look really dumb on the ornithopter. I don't know if you caught that, but like between their capturing setup and the way the game is running, it was like it really contributed to the cartoony, stupid look of the game. I wish they would have animated that differently to give the same impression as the movies did, which was at first they go really slow and then they're so fast it's a blur. It wasn't a blur. It was like 30 frames per second, like jumpy weirdness.
Yeah, I have a thought about the ornithopter, like you guys said, like putting the pieces together. What would be cool, just like what I think would be cool with anything in that game is, yeah, all ornithopters are made the same way. They're the same exact pieces, and like if they're gonna go that route, right?
Right.
Like okay, you have to collect these pieces. What would be cool is if each piece was like incredibly hard to get, right? Not even you can't purchase it. Like you have to do a quest a la Tarkov, where you got to like go kill this guy and you get the cockpit to the ornithopter, and
Or
you
like
get
you go
the
find a
blades.
wrecked one and you have to bring a piece back and like repair it or something. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
and when
quest
you finally get
driven.
all the pieces, you can build an ornithopter, and it gives you like an insane advantage for like 12 hours of the game, right? Like
Right.
you and your buddies can drive around and go, and you can knock out extra quests quickly,
Yes, right.
In that case, that would be cool. But
Yeah.
if they're all the same, like why even go through the process of showing like building?
Right, and that's the hope. They better not all be identical because that would be like a massive waste of this UI that they've put together of like putting piece by piece by piece together. Jared, I think it's a bit of a base builder. It might scratch your arc itch there, pal. Might have to
Yeah.
I
look
thought
out.
the same thing watching the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does always appeal to me, but I'm gonna have to be the grumpy guy in the room.
Ooh, let's
I
hear
don't
it.
want to be too pragmatic, but you guys are kidding yourselves if you think you're gonna be able to get this game and enjoy it.
You
And
think
you
so?
guys are not You guys are not rubes. You're not stupid. But and I'm gonna say also you're experienced with MMOs enough to know that they're not enjoyable unless you can sink into them. Red Bull, 5 hours straight. Like that's like really the only way. I mean, I could be speaking for myself, but that's really the only way I've ever enjoyed an MMO is like, okay, I got as much time as I want. I'm single.
Right.
Nobody
That's a
can
huge
walk in the room and be
component.
like, "Are you gonna get off that game?"
Yeah.
Because like you can't have that. You can't have it.
I mean, like
You
last
nailed the
night when
face.
we were playing Tarkov and you were like, last run, babe.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's just, and it's. I think there's some people, maybe even me, when I was single, would be kind of cynical enough to be like, "Well, that's sad." And I would definitely assert that it's not sad. It's you got to be considerate to the people in your lives.
Of course you do, and
unless
it's a
you're just
realistic
kid
right.
and-
This is called Grasstouchers. Like we want to be realistic. So you're right to point that out, and I am not offended, and I understand. I think I agree. Basically, it's just
I just don't think
wondering-
it's gonna happen for us, guys.
it may not
Looks
as a
cool,
group,
but-
right?
yeah.
It may not be something that we can pull off as a group. If it is a sufficiently low barrier to entry, I'm gonna try it. But
Yeah, I think
how
we
far
should,
I go
probably.
from there,
Sure.
is a topic for another
Well,
day.
we'll see how that goes. If it is breathtaking and you guys absolutely love it, I will consider it. But there are some other games that I'm convinced I may not spend an abundance of time playing, but I want to support with my wallet. and that
Yeah.
probably isn't one of them. SNK and Capcom have some things coming out that I'm like, all right, people need to buy this game so that they make more of these and they continue to support. them.
Yeah,
So
and I want to hear
those are the
about
ones
that.
on
We're
the
almost
radar.
through our little list here, and then I want you to spill
Oh.
the beans on that for sure.
Sure.
Reanimal,
Beans for you.
revealed its Little Nightmares developer Tarsier Studios revealed its next game, a terrifying new adventure called Reanimal, a co-op horror adventure game. You take on the roles of brother and sister who go through hell to rescue their missing friends. Dag, I see that you said I would probably play this. What do you think about that?
Out of all the trailers I watched, that was the coolest one. Like it was the most intriguing. Very cool art
It
style.
looks incredible.
Looks awesome. Looks absolutely terrifying.
Yes, it does. It really does. I'm rewatching it right now.
And it kind of looked. God, what was that game that came out several years ago that was dark aesthetic and like you're going through a forest and like at the very beginning there's like a spider that comes down and gets you. You guys know. You gotta know what I'm talking about. This is very similar aesthetic. There was like a horror
I'm
sort
not
of
sure.
side scroller, very similar. Jared, do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
don't play very many side scrollers.
Was it the black and white one?
Yeah, it was all black and white. Yes.
Yeah, there was a couple, but it's from the same company. It was like a one word. Oh, I'll remember it. Keep going with,
Yes.
with your point.
But the
Limbo.
yes, Limbo. Yes.
Hey, he did it, ladies and gentlemen. A round of
Yes.
applause
I
for
got
Jared.
there.
Hey, we got
Yeah,
there.
woo! Hold
Is-
on, I gotta do something. Let me.
Is it really the same? Is it from Limbo? Is it the same company that did Limbo?
I don't know.
Oh.
Gotta have them ribs. You too.
Had to celebrate.
But anyways, Reanimal looks very cool. I don't know. I was like, should I click? I was actually looking at the list of all the things, and I was like, I didn't get to all of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to do some research because pod. And I saw Reanimal. I was like, fine, I'll click on it. And I was like,
Yeah, and then
Like,
captivated by how it looks. You're like,
I was
oh,
captivated.
shoot.
It was really cool. So, anyways, yeah, that one was the most interesting of all of
That
all
could
the
be a
games,
fun one
honestly.
for us to jump into if it's co-op in the way that it is when a couple of us are on. That could be neat.
Oh, yeah.
How about Monster Hunter? How do we feel about Monster Hunter? Because I have
I've never
feelings.
cared about Monster Hunter ever. I
Thank
think
you.
It's
Thank you.
the most overrated game franchise ever, maybe other than Super Smash Brothers. And so, anyways,
I have people in
King,
my
that is
life.
a wild take.
Is it?
I mean,
Super Smash Brothers is fun. It's nowhere near the greatest game franchise ever that people make it out to be. But this is not a pod about Super Smash Brothers. But Jared's got to have a retort, obviously.
I just want to say, and I don't just try to play the advocate. I think it goes that way, and I think that our podcast is blessed in that way that we do have nicely varied opinions. But
We do. We are not all just agreeing with each other all the time.
Smash Bros. I'm not. I don't play the game all the time. I did grow up playing a lot of it, and I do enjoy it. It's the type of game that like, it's when you're a kid, you're like, I wish they would make this game. It's a game that you'd pee your
Sure.
pants for if they just dropped it and you didn't and it never existed. You'd be like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible thing ever, because it's like, it doesn't happen outside of the confines of the context of a developer like Nintendo, where they've got so much pull and they've got so many great franchises just under their umbrella, and they just throw them all together. They're like, hey, yeah, you just beat each other up. It's a great time. I think we're past the age where Smash Bros is like the coolest thing ever.
Yes.
But when you're a kid, I mean, that is pretty darn cool. But I get why you're saying that, though. It's like,
If you're obsessed
people
with Super
make
Smash
it
Brothers in 2024 and you're over a certain age, you might need to branch out, because there's some weirdos out there that love to talk about, iframes and edge guarding and God knows what else in Super Smash Bros. That there's a
If
scene for
you-
competitive Super
Right.
Smash.
I get what you're saying, Dag, and I'm going to weigh in
Yeah.
on Monster Hunter real quick, a game that I have actually played a lot of. I'm excited for this game because they do pack these games with so much content, and it's a franchise that, like, they haven't deviated from what they do well
Sure.
on the games.
That's fair.
And they build well, one true successor to the other. There's a lot of iterations of this game, and they've branched off in different genres, but the main line Monster Hunter games are like reliably what they are. And
Yeah.
that is something that I do appreciate as we get into a world of like,
That's true, man. No, you're
as
right.
we got into a world where it was like, hey, every game's open world RPG, and it's every genre is the same genre, and it's like, I'm not trying to play the Tiger Woods race thing genre yet. Okay, let's still stay in
If
some
you have
lanes.
ever liked a single Monster Hunter game, you will like all of the Monster Hunter games, because they are pretty consistently the thing that they are advertised to be, and they're consistent from one to another. I've played 2 Monster Hunter games in my life. I played one on the Wii U, which is a wild sentence in 2024. But I did, because my brother was obsessed with it, and he's like, dude, you gotta play Monster Hunter. It's so cool. Because he was, single in high school and college, sort of during this like era of his life where he's like, if my schoolwork's done and I'm not at cross country practice, I'm playing video games. And it was like, I'm jealous. I'm finishing college. I'm getting my first job. And I'm like, dang, dude, you're playing a lot of games. That's pretty sick. And he's like, yeah, you got to check it out. And so I jumped into it, and I was like, I got to get what kind of berries to build a what trap so that I can kill a what, which lets me get the bones so that I can build a what. So then I can go over here and get this. And it was this mountain, this absolutely unscalable mountain, that I was like, I don't have room in my brain for like a brand new thing, like a franchise that I don't know anything about yet. You know, it's full of like Star Wars and guns and like IT knowledge, and my brain is like real full, y'all. Like I don't need another one.
Right,
And
right.
so I also
and tobacco resin.
and God knows what other chemical. That's right. And so there's also a Monster Hunter game that was on the 3DS that I put on me and Alex Moody. Shout out to old Alex. And
How's he doing?
I think he's doing pretty good. I don't really know. I haven't talked to him in a minute. Shout out to Alex if you're listening. Me and some of the boys from a previous Discord server that I was a large contributor to went to Anime Expo, and he came to Tucson like one night before we needed to leave, and he crashed with me one night, and he was like, "Dude, you got a 3DS, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm gonna buy you Monster Hunter, and we're gonna play on this trip." And I was like, "Cool, that sounds great." And we got on our little 3DSs next to each other, and he was like, "All right, here's what you do." And we got through like, I don't know, an hour and a half of the game. I was like, "Cool, yeah, we should totally play this some more later." Closed the 3DS, did not touch it ever again in my life.
Yeah.
And we had a great trip, and it was the kind of trip where like you don't want to sit there and play on your 3DS. There's fellas to hang out with, and there's food to eat, and there's an expo to go to. So anyway,
Although
not a huge fan.
I do aspire to be that guy at some point in my life again. The just like at a group gathering of adults, and then I'm just in the corner with my 3DS, and people are like, "Hey, Jared, whatever happened to that? Whatever happened about that thing that you were talking about getting into?" And I'm just like visibly upset, pausing my game, going, "What? And then they're like, never mind." I'm just like, "Okay." And I just get right back into the game.
Yeah,
My
dude.
wife's just like, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry, I had to bring him. I had to get him out of the house.
I just have to say publicly on the pod, now that you said that, you realize the three of us are going to have to go to like a video game convention together.
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
At some point.
we should apply to get press passes so that we can go to one of these things and be like, excuse me, I'm a video game content creator.
We're the Grasstouchers.
I'm here to represent the Grasstoucher community, an often underserved group of.
I'm kind of being serious though. The three of us should like.
I think
go
it'd be
to
a
video game
blast. Are you kidding me?
convention. That'd
Absolutely.
be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If E3 was still a thing, oh man, dang.
Touchers here, and we're just like, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, that's us.
You
Yeah,
got
That's
it.
us.
You sniffed it out.
That works.
You got
that
me.
works.
Yeah, I'll take it.
You sniffed us out.
Hey.
Moving right along, after that, Sid Meier's Civilization 7. This looks
Same,
very
but
cool.
with better quote graphics.
Yeah, it looks super cool. It's actually a wildly different game. I read a separate article about somebody who did a playtest. They got flown out to freaking Sid Meiersville HQ, Pennsylvania, or wherever it was, and they got to play sort of an early build of the game. There's a bunch of things about it that are different. There's certain units that just don't exist anymore. There's brand new units. The way that you construct a city is totally different. At first, you don't even make a city; you make a town, and then when that town grows to a certain size, then it's a city. And you can have towns outside of the city that have different like roles. And as somebody who recently had a little reconnection with Civ 6, I was kind of piqued by that. Pretty sweet.
I got a question for you.
All right.
Who in Dogsville is Sid Meier? Who is this guy, dude? Who is this guy? I want to get Tom Clancy and Sid Meier in a room, face to face, and I want to just be like, I just want to drop some kind of like Facebook political bomb and just be like, go.
Yes,
Talk about
dude.
this. I
Let's
want to see
do
who
it.
you guys really are.
Who
I
would
don't know
win in
who
a
he
fight, Tom Clancy or Sid Meier?
Dude, that's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy's got the tactical thing going on for him, but Sid Meier's is a thinker.
Yes, absolutely, he is. He's gonna wear you down. You know, he's gonna dodge. He's gonna
Right,
be ready.
dude.
And when the moment
Right.
is right, ba-ba!
Right, that's right, dude. Let him fall asleep, and then you kill him.
That's
and then
right.
You kill him.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy falls asleep in his big black gay van, and then Sid Meier's comes out, and he's like, "It's time. It's go time. Pull your pants
Can you
down."
imagine if there was like a UFC match between Tom Clancy and Sid Meier comes out to this like orchestral swell, and it's incredible,
Right.
and he's like, "Where's Tom Clancy?" and then
But
like
it's Ultimate Farting Championship.
and then like a CIA murder van just goes like,
Yeah.
and then Tom Clancy like double rolls
Yeah,
out of there, and
and
he's like, "Let's go."
Sledge is rapping. Castle is rapping for him, walking out of the tunnel. But then he accidentally castles the tunnel, and so nobody can get in or out, and so they have to cancel the
You
event.
blocked us into the objective.
And they're like, "This is the video game you created that for
Yeah.
everybody. This is what happens."
This is what happens. This is your legacy, Tom Clancy.
Rolling
Stupid
in the grave
idiot, dude.
so hard, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, here's one that I bet somebody's got some thoughts about. Marvel Rivals. Kind of
Looks cool.
Overwatchy little team-based game. What
I
do we
will play
think
it.
about this garbage?
I
looks
will
cool.
play it.
I know you want to play it. It's like you kind of want to taste when you see something like this. It's like it's the Super Smash Brothers problem, which is what if this is rad because I can be a kid again and be like, what if there was a game where you were like the Avengers and you were on a team and you had to battle against, I mean,
Exactly.
could be neat.
Exactly.
Could be neat.
It appeals to me pretty much for that, and I'm gonna say also we live in an era where talking about genres, it's a luxurious era in that there's a lot of work, there's a lot of road that's already been paved, and like that game can already be fun and solid, and then you can put a Marvel thing over it, and it does interest me a little bit. I hate that I'm saying that a little. That doesn't thrill me. If it's a good game, I will enjoy playing it. If it sucks, and I'm not gonna play it.
If it sucks,
But-
shame on them, whatever. But
Right.
hey, man, good games are good. So if it's good, give it a shot. I got no
Yeah.
shame, not
Yeah.
for that anyway. Hey, here's an interesting one. What do you guys think of this, like, several episode anthology series from Amazon Prime called Secret Level?
I'm very intrigued.
Dude,
It looks really cool.
It looks like kind of exactly my thing. I have a thing for like sci-fi anthology series shows. Black Mirror is one where it's like, there's sort of these common universes, but there's all these, twisty, turny, Twilight Zone-y like episodes. There's a show that I feel like I've talked about before, also on Amazon, called Tales from the Loop, based on some sci-fi like dystopian art by Simon Stålenhag. That's very cool. And this is a similar kind of effort where I assume they tie together in some way, but it's a show with lots of episodes, and each episode's based on a video game franchise. The ones that it says here are Armored Core, D&D, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Sifu, Spelunky, The Outer Worlds, Unreal Tournament, Warhammer 40K. Like, the trailer looks really, really interesting, and it kind of seems like a Ready Player One kind of thing. Like, it shows sort of an overworld, like there's like a guy playing a game, and the game comes to life, or he gets
Is that what it is?
I can't tell from the trailer. It kind of seems
I
like
hope
that's
not.
what it is. I hope that that's not as deep as the rabbit hole goes. I hope it's more interesting than that, because that would be kind of whack. Because again, that's literally been done. Ready Player One, what have you.
Yeah.
Could be cool.
Yeah, I think that better be what they better be isolated to each episode as its own story. I don't want there to be an overarching like thing, because I think that's the biggest mistake they can make. Games already do they carry the load of like the precedent story. That's what I would want to see, is like, I already know like that there's a lore to this game. Use it.
Yep.
And just tell a story within it. I don't know if you guys ever watched. There was a show. Well, there was a channel back in the day called G4.
Oh, do I ever?
Oh yeah.
There was a game called Cinematech, and it just showed cinematics from video games. And me and my brother would sit and watch that show like crazy, because it was awesome. It was like I didn't need to know anything about
I'm
the
so glad you
game.
brought that up. I vaguely remember that now. Yeah.
It was awesome, dude. It was just like they just play cinematics, and you just be like, "Wow, this game looks cool. This looks interesting. I don't need to know. I don't need to know a whole. I don't need to understand how it relates to the experience of a 59-year-old African American woman living in the Bronx.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. It's
Yeah.
just an interesting thing with interesting characters, and it can be entertaining in just that. I really hope that the show is what we hope it is.
Yeah, if they just kind of tell new stories in a known universe and don't ditch any of the existing universe, it could be very rad. Very, very rad. That brings us, of all things, to Starfield, which decided to have a moment, as if anybody like plays that game anymore. Bethesda has been putting out patches for this game. Supposedly the experience is better or whatever. Out of the three of us, liked it more than any of us, I think. And they've just now revealed something that should have been in the game from the beginning, which is a land vehicle that you can drive around. It's a little rover that helps you get across this barren galaxy of planets that they've created, so that you don't have to hoof it and jetpack it everywhere you go. So those of you that might be still playing Starfield, check it out, I guess. This vehicle thing is gonna like release just for free. It's not DLC. And then there's a separate thing that's also coming September 30th, a DLC called Shattered Space, which I assume is something that's paid. But yeah, the free vehicle update. The vehicle's called the Rev 8. It looks cool, but again, it's like this game is so...
Not to be confused with the Rev 4.
That's right. Yeah. Is that what they were going for? Gosh, that'd be so lame if they were. It looks neat, and if you care about the sort of shipbuilding and customization in Starfield, maybe there's some fun to be had with this ground vehicle. But I just I wish I could get sucked into that game, but I don't think I have the time to enjoy it. You know, and it's kind of whack that is just now in the game. So
yeah. Bethesda just bent over and farted directly in my face with that game, and I don't think I can forgive them until they release a new Elder Scrolls game that actually is good.
You know, I said that about Tarkov more than once, and I'm addicted to its PvE element now. So games can turn around even when they're trash games made in Russia.
There was a period of time on this very pod, less than a year ago, in fact, when the two of you hated no game more than you hated Tarkov.
I know. And here we are. Yeah, just bowing down and bending over. You guys ever play a mobile game called Monument Valley?
Not once.
No.
Because it's very cool. There's a 1 and a 2, and now a third one has been announced. It's very interesting. Netflix is announcing it because, I don't know if you know this, but you can play games if you have a Netflix subscription. And I guess it's like a pretty good little service. There's just a bunch of good free games that if you already subscribe to Netflix, you have access to these games. I don't know if you access them on your phone or what, but supposedly that's a neat service. Batman Arkham Shadow, I don't really care about those games, but
Don't care.
you know, it's also, it says it's only on the Meta Quest. It's just a VR experience only.
Pass.
Yeah, big pass.
Oh,
Masters of Albion.
oh man, he's finally come back.
Peter Molyneux, he's got you covered, Jared. What do you think? What do you think?
Oh my gosh, the prodigal retard is finally returned to his slop pit so that he can make promises on things that will never come true.
That's right, dude.
But the only thing that's interesting about this is that the era has passed him by. I'm not trying to hate on him as a man. I don't know Peter Molyneux as a man. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm not trying to like cast a pall on him with our massive public, influence that we have on this
That's
podcast. Right. But yeah, he's just such a meme to me. And in this game, this game just honestly looks freaking terrible. Dude.
Yes, dude.
I just was like, what? Who's gonna play this other than like shut in people with like broken brains because like their parents were so emotionally abusive to them that they can't even operate and function in society.
I know, dude.
Those
And Peter Molyneux himself. You know, I didn't even watch the trailer because I care so little about it. But the description, this game will tap into some of Molyneux's most beloved games, giving players godlike control and letting them possess characters for direct third-person action. And it's like, it sounds so arrogant. Like, Peter Molyneux made a game about his games where you can be God in his games. And it's like, so it's just living out Peter Molyneux's fantasy of playing God.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in that.
He's kind of like Woody Allen, except he doesn't have any actual good work to show for all of the stupid stuff that he's pulled.
Yes.
And it's weird to me because it's like he can still walk out and be like, it's me. It's Peter Molyneux. I'm back, baby. Aren't you guys psyched? It's like, who's psyched to see this guy?
Scattered applause. Just
yeah, it's like, what?
Barely.
Nobody likes you, man. Get out of here. So, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. I guess there's a Squid Game. Don't care. Diablo 4. Pass. Haven't touched Diablo ever. So, yeah, that's what we got. Any other quick shout-outs we want to give before we wrap up of things we're looking forward to?
I would just like to plug once again the fact that the three of us should go to a convention of some sort.
Yeah,
If you listeners are wanting to throw about $14,000 our way
Yeah.
so that we can
Fly
do it
first
high roller
class.
style,
Penthouse, limousine,
we'd appreciate that. That'd
yeah,
be
dude,
pretty
let's
cool.
do it, yeah.
a real Ric Flair.
We do have a donate button that
outing.
you can show your support for this podcast on our Spotify page. It's true.
We can hire
Yeah.
Ric Flair as our cab driver.
Can you imagine? Woo! Just going nuts the whole time.
Dies behind the wheel and just drives our car into a gulch.
Serves us right for scamming our
Yeah.
listeners out of their money.
I'm gonna drag you guys to like Evo or something because that's me and my brother have been saying that for years too. We want to go to
Oh,
a
yeah,
big
go to
fighting
Evo,
game
yeah.
tournament, but it sucks because these things are starting to not become niche. They're starting to become mainstream, and then by the time I can
No.
actually afford to get there, I won't be able to afford to get there. So.
Infested with normies, way more expensive, blah blah blah. Yeah, and the bigger the city that they're in, because they kind of do have to be in like a large metropolitan area.
Right.
Finding a place to stay in any of those places is like pretty cost prohibitive. But
Right.
you know, if you slum it with your pals and all split a 1-bedroom B&B or something, you know what I mean? Like you
Right.
just figure it out.
Yeah, let's go to when they have Gamescom at Sheboygan, Tennessee. We'll pull through for the small market.
Chattanooga,
adventure.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
We could stay at the Choo Choo.
Chattanooga Choo Choo, baby.
guys, Evo's coming to Casa Grande. Let's do it.
Can you imagine?
We can stay at the desert.
The Desert Diamond Casino.
We can just do
They have an occupancy
peyote
of like
in a
400
tent
people.
in
Yeah,
the desert.
play nickel slots with Ric Flair and cry, and then until he dies behind the wheel and gets us to a violent accident. That sounds good to me, man.
That's a Tuesday in Casa Grande. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah. That's a Casa Grande Tuesday, baby.
Oh man. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed our little preview of what's to come. We'll keep you updated on any of these as they come out. If we try them, they are all officially on notice. They are on our radar. And we're going to check it out. Let us know in the comments what you're looking forward to. If any of these speak to you or if there's something else that you're looking forward to, we want to hear about it. We want suggestions. We want tips. We want tricks. We want to know what you're into and what you kill time doing when you're not touching grass. So until next time, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, check us out, and get out there. Touch some grass.